He once destroyed this man on this exact track. And now, 3 years later, fate is bringing them back to the same finish line. But this time, only one of them is still considered the fastest man alive. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why Sunday at Stade Sebastian-Charlety might be the most dangerous 100 meters of the entire 2026 season, and why the man everyone thinks is the favorite might not even be the biggest threat on that track. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button right now, because we are about to break down every single name in this race, the history behind it, and the one shadow hanging over all of them that nobody is talking about enough. Trust me, you do not want to miss where the story ends. Let's go back 3 years first, because you cannot understand what Sunday means without understanding what happened the last time these two men shared the stadium. June 2023, Stade Sebastian-Charlety, Paris. The world had billed it as a showdown. Noah Lyles against Marcell Jacobs, the reigning Olympic champion against a rising American star. It was supposed to be a statement race for Jacobs. Instead, it became a warning sign. Jacobs crossed the line in 7th place, in 10.21 seconds. Lyles won it in 9.97. That gap was not just a result. It told a brutal, undeniable story about exactly where each man stood at that moment in time. One of them was rising, the other was falling, and Paris was the city that exposed it. Now, fast forward to August 4th, 2024. Same city, different stadium, the Stade de France. Lyles lines up in the Olympic final, and what happens next becomes one of the greatest moments in the history of the men's 100 meters. He runs a personal best, 9.79 seconds, and wins Olympic gold by just 5 thousandths of a second over Jamaica's Kishane Thompson. 5 thousandths of a second. That is the closest margin imaginable. It was the first American gold in the men's 100 meters since 2004, and it turned Noah Lyles from a star into a legend in the very city that once watched him dominate Jacobs on a much smaller stage. Paris made him, and now, 2 years later, he is walking right back into it. Here's where it gets interesting, though, because Lyles is not just showing up to defend a reputation. He is showing up undefeated. In 2026, outdoors, Noah Lyles has not lost a single race. He ran 9.88 seconds in Rome on June 4th, which made him the world leader at that point in the season. Then he went to Ostrava and ran a world best over 150 meters, 14.67 seconds. Everything about his season points to a man building towards something enormous. But stay with me, because there's a name above him on the world list right now that changes the entire conversation, and we will get to that name very soon. First, let's talk about the other man on that start line, because his story is the one that makes this race genuinely emotional. Marcell Jacobs was born in El Paso, Texas, to an American military father and an Italian mother, and he was raised in Rome. For most of his early career, he was not even a sprinter. He was a long jumper. He didn't commit fully to the 100 meters until 2019, and his personal best that year was a modest 10.03 seconds. Nobody outside Italy had even heard his name. Then came Tokyo 2021, the delayed Olympic Games, and Marcell Jacobs produced one of the single greatest surprise performances in the history of this event. He ran 9.80 seconds in the final, a new European record, and won Olympic gold. Italy had never, in its entire history, won the men's Olympic 100-meter title. He did it at 26 years old, after barely 2 years as a serious sprinter. For one moment, Marcell Jacobs was the fastest man on the entire planet. But that title did not last. What followed Tokyo was years of injuries, withdrawals, and doubt. He pulled out of multiple Diamond League meets in 2021 and 2022 with fatigue and knee problems. He reached the semifinals at the 2022 World Championships in Oregon, then withdrew before the next round. People started asking the question that follows every surprise champion. Was Tokyo real, or was it a one-time miracle? So Jacobs did something most champions in his position never do. He tore everything down and rebuilt it. He changed coaches, moved his entire family to Jacksonville, Florida, and started training under Ronna Ryder, the same coach behind Trayvon Bromell and Andre DeGrasse. And slowly, quietly away from the spotlight, he started to come back. In June 2024, at the European Championships in Rome, in front of his own home crowd. Marcell Jacobs won the 100-meter title for the second time. Then he arrived at the Paris 2024 Olympics as a rebuilt, dangerous, underestimated athlete. He ran a season best of 9.85 seconds in that Olympic final, one of the deepest, fastest finals in the history of the sport, and finished fifth. No medal, but across 3 rounds of racing against the best sprinters alive, he proved something that mattered more than a medal. He still belonged. And that single question is exactly what brings him back to Paris now. Can he prove it again on a bigger stage against the very man who replaced him as champion? Now here is where the numbers get uncomfortable for Jacobs. Heading into this Paris Diamond League meet, he is ranked 30th in the world in the 100 meters. His season best in 2026 is 9.99 seconds, run in Rome on June 4th, where he finished 5th. Some reporters call that an encouraging sign considering his injury history, but on paper, he sits 27 places below Noah Lyles in the current world rankings. He is not the favorite. Nobody is picking him to win this. But here's the thing about Marcell Jacobs. He has never needed the world to pick him. That was exactly the formula in Tokyo. He has said it himself, in his own words to the Associated Press before the Paris Olympics. Being overlooked actually helps him because it lets him do his preparation in his race without worrying about what anyone else expects. Low noise, maximum output. That is the mindset walking back into Charlotte Stadium this weekend. And if you think that mentality cannot produce a shock result, just remember what it produced in 2021. But Lyles and Jacobs are not the only story here. And if you only focus on those 2 names, you're going to miss why this race is actually one of the most loaded fields of the entire season. Bromell is in this race. With a 2026 season best of 10.01 and a personal best of 9.76 seconds, faster than either Lyles or Jacobs has ever run. Ferdinand Omanyala of Kenya is also here, owning the fastest personal best in the entire field on paper, 9.77 seconds, with a season best of 9.94 in 2026. Simbine of South Africa, who finished 4th at the Paris Olympics in a South African record of 9.82, arrives with a season best of 9.98. And then there's Jordan Anthony, the man who actually beat Noah Lyles at the USATF Indoor Championships back in March, running a 2026 season best of 9.91. 6 men in this field have personal bests under 9.90 seconds. Read that again. 6. That means the gap between glory and getting lost in the results sheet on Sunday could come down to a single hundredth of a second. And now, here's the name that changes everything, the one I told you to wait for. Jamaica's Oblique Seville is not even racing in Paris this weekend, but he just ran 9.82 seconds on June 19th at the Jamaican Championships to win his first national title. And that time is currently the fastest in the entire world this season. The reigning world champion ran 9.82, and he isn't even on this start list. Let that sink in. Lyles arrives in Paris as Olympic champion, undefeated outdoors in 2026, with a world lead earlier in the season at 9.88. But Seville's run in Jamaica pushed Lyles down to world number 3. So even if Lyles wins on Sunday and wins comfortably, the deeper question still hangs over this entire race. Is he actually back to the level of the fastest man in the world right now? Or is there still a gap to close before the real test comes? And that real test is coming fast. Every single race happening on the Diamond League circuit in 2026 is building toward one destination: the brand new World Athletics Ultimate Championship in Budapest this September. It is the first major outdoor championship under this format, and it is being treated as the most important meet of the entire year. Noah Lyles has already been named an ultimate star for that event in Budapest, and that label puts even more weight on every race between now and then. A win in Paris on Sunday is not just a win. It's a warning shot aimed directly at Oblique Seville, a way of staying the conversation as the man to beat before Budapest even begins. So here is where we land. For Noah Lyles, this is about control, staying undefeated, staying ahead of the noise Seville just created, and walking into Budapest as the man nobody can question. For Marcell Jacobs, this is about resurrection, proving that the 5th-place finish in Rome was not the ceiling, but a sign that the comeback is still climbing. And sitting quietly behind both of them are Bromell, Omanyala, Simbine, and Anthony, for men who are all fully capable of running the race of their lives on the exact same afternoon. Track and field has always had room for the athlete nobody expected to show up, and Marcell Jacobs has lived that exact story before in this exact city. Now we wait to see if Paris is about to write that chapter for him one more time, or if it simply confirms that Noah Lyles is now untouchable. Either way, by Sunday night, this entire conversation changes. So if you don't want to miss how it plays out and what it means heading into Budapest, make sure you're subscribed. Drop your prediction in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.